That's right. Back at it again, Full Custom Hot Dog here, and we're doing another Blu-ray review. That's right. We're going to be talking today about the infamous film, the McPherson Tape. And if you want to know why it's infamous, well, stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. Before we get into all of the nitty-gritty about that, let's talk about this release. This is released by AGFA with Bleeding Skull. It's a label that I'm familiar with. It's the American Genre Film Archive. I think, and I could be wrong, I don't know a ton about them, but I think they primarily do shot on video stuff. I think, not 100% sure again. I think they tend to do a lot of things that are pretty far outside of the scope of what a lot of us know, and their goal is preservation of kind of these oddball things. I don't know if the McPherson Tape is a good representation of what they normally have, because this film I feel like is pretty significant. And it's odd because I hadn't heard of it until it was getting released, and then there was all this buzz. I picked it up at the Target buy two get one, and it was totally worth, regardless of my thoughts on the movie itself, which I know people love, so it might sting you to hear me say my feelings about it, but we'll get into all of that. What is on the disc itself? Well, a new transfer from the original 3/4 inch master tape. And then there's UFO Abduction, which is the 2017 director's cut. Commentary track with director Dean Alioto on the original cut. 1989 theatrical premiere introduction, which is surprising. It's very surprising to see that they were able to get that. And also an Encounters TV segment. Now, if you don't know what Encounters is, back in the day, we had Unsolved Mysteries, Rescue 911, just kind of this TV that was, I don't want to say reality TV, but it was based on things that were real. And what was the other one? America's Most Wanted. And we also had Encounters, which was Unsolved Mysteries, but a lot more towards, I guess, UFO and UFO culture, things like that. From what I remember anyway. I remember I used to watch it all the time, but it's been so long. So seeing this segment was great. And it's very important to this release also. And there's also a Fantastic Fest Q&A, which is pretty good. All stuff that he covers in the... it's all stuff that he covers on the commentary, but it's still cool to have that. And I'm going to give this an A+. I think this is a very solid release. And it's kind of got all that you could ask for on something like this. So let's jump into the film. What is the McPherson Tape about? Well, IMDb says, on a typical fall evening in 1983, a young man was videotaping his niece's 5th birthday party. As the night's strange occurrences took place, he kept his camera running, recording the entire event. So, often considered to be the first found footage movie, because it's entirely shot in a handheld way and sort of shown and presented as if this is footage that was found. And the movie on its own, it's pretty well done for what it is. It's all shot on video. The director was offered about $6,500 to make a movie. He had been high on Communion and wanted to do, and I don't mean Communion like Catholic Church, but Communion, the Whitley Strieber book. I don't know if the movie had come out yet, but he definitely makes mention that Communion was a huge inspiration for him on this. But he wanted to do something like that, but make it seem real. So his idea, let's shoot it on video, and we can try to do something that's real, that makes alien abduction seem kind of real, or an alien encounter. So they make this movie, and they try to get it distributors, and everyone turned them down. Even Vestron, who was infamous for putting out a bunch of goofball stuff I've talked about. And I think they released Blood Diners, one that comes to mind. I want to say Slaughter High. And I don't think that's just the Blu-rays. I think that's what they were releasing back in the theaters as well. So everybody turned them down. And then I'm not too sure how it came about, but their footage, or their film, ended up going to UFO conventions, and people were talking about this as if it was real and believing it was real, to the point where people now think, to the point where people thought the director was maybe some kind of government damage control, to where he was out there that's supposed to be spreading that's supposed to be spreading disinformation about this thing, saying, no, that footage is actually fake and it's a movie instead of it being real and covering up for this government screw up. So, while the movie itself, I find to be, it's okay. It's cool for being this first of its kind, but it didn't do a lot for me. I wasn't too into it. I mean, it's dated as hell. When you see the aliens, I remember when they used to sell those at Spencer's, Spencer's Gifts, back when you used to go into the stores for things. So it kind of doesn't have some of the magic that maybe it's supposed to for me. I also didn't see this growing up, so I'm sure some people might have. I definitely didn't, so I definitely don't have any kind of attachment to this film emotionally. On its own, it's fine, it's a solid watch, but with all the ancillary content and all that stuff showing what it is and the effect that it had, it makes this movie, of course, much more interesting, to me anyway, but also it makes a Blu-ray so much more significant, I believe, because it's... Some people remember when Blair Witch came out, that people believe that was real, and that was the first I heard of that, but I had no clue that there was something like this floating about, So, really cool to see that in action, really cool to kind of experience it in certain ways. Regardless, I'm glad I own this. It's a cool little piece. So I do kind of recommend it to people who, number one, some people are already hyped as hell that this came out on Blu-ray. But I guess if you're not sure about this film, and maybe you're a little like me where you might not be sold on it, but you like that historical context, and I think it's kind of worth having in your collection because it'd be kind of neat to show people and say, hey, people thought this was real. Isn't this crazy? And I think that kind of novelty really adds to the experience and to the fun of the film. So, I like it overall, but not the biggest fan of the film on its own. But anyways, that's my take. Of course, let me know in the comments how you feel. I'm sure some of you have already seen this and are familiar, but let me know what you think. My name is Full Custom Hot Dog. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Full Custom Hot Dog without the last because that is just too long for Twitter. So, thank you all for watching, and until next time. If you like what you see,
I love what I see.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell for notifications so you can watch whatever comes next. And if you like the music you hear, you can follow me on SoundCloud and Spotify. Check the description for links.